on the Dragon Table, I will be doing a tutorial on the relatively new game Steam Park. It is a beautiful game. The artwork is really beautiful and it's very unique and kind of special. I am just going to have to show you what it is like. Let's take a look. So this is Steam Park, set up for a 4-player game. I wanted to do a 4-player game because that's the maximum number of players you can play. That way I could have all of the components out for you to see. Everyone starts with a base, your starting area for your theme park. You also start with 6 dice and a pig. I've got the bank with the money over here. And I have the assortment of rides that you can build in your theme park all over here, sorted according to color and size. There's 3 different rides of each color. There's a size 1 ride, a size 2, and a size 3. And there are 6 different colors. There are also different stands that you can build, like security, information point, casino, toilet, and promotion, each of which gives you different bonuses. And over here you can see the turn order track. It's only a 6-turn game, so it doesn't take that long to play. Over here I've got my piles of robots, the robots that live in the land where you're building your Steam Park, that you're hoping will come and ride your rides. I've also got my stack of extra land because you do have the ability to build onto your park later in the game. Everyone also starts with 6 bonus cards. They choose 3 and discard the other 3. I'm going to do that now while I'm thinking about it. There's also a pile of dirt, because part of what happens when you're building your Steam Park is you're going to be accumulating dirt, and you'll be placing it in your dump. At the end of the game, if you still have dirt left in your dump, you'll have to pay fines to get rid of it, because the people who live in this robot land are not fans of big piles of junk for some reason. Let's zoom in so I can show you some of these components up close. So these are the dice. Everyone starts with 6 dice, and this is what you're rolling to try and accomplish actions during your turn. There are 6 different faces to the dice, one of which is blank, which will give you nothing. And let's see, this side looks like a mechanics tool. It allows you to build rides. If you roll more than 1, then you can build more than 1 ride, or you can build a larger ride. The limitation is that you cannot build 2 rides of the same size on your turn. So for instance, if I rolled 4 of these, I could build a size 3 ride and a size 1 ride, but I could not build a size 2 ride and another size 2 ride. And I also could not build 4 size 1 rides either. I could build a size 2 ride and a size 1 ride, and maybe not use this one for building rides. You can also build stands. And stands give you different benefits during the game. If you have a security stand for each one that you have, you get an extra chance to pull visitors out of the bag. Because that's how you get visitors in the park, is by pulling them out of a black bag. If you have an information point, then if you pull the wrong color out of the bag, you can still put it on one of your rides. It would just go back to the pool at the end of your turn. If you build a casino, it allows you to change the result of one of the dice on your pig board during your turn. And you're normally never allowed to touch the dice on your pig board during your turn unless you're taking actions to move them off the board. You can build a toilet, and for each toilet that you have, this action, which allows you to throw away dirt, will allow you to throw twice as much dirt away. You can build a promotion stand, and if you do that, then every time you use a visitor die, it actually counts as 2. There's also this lovely little symbol, a little pile of dirt with a shovel in it. That allows you to play bonus cards. And bonus cards look like this. They will score you money for a certain type of characteristic, and there are a wide variety of different bonus cards. This one, for instance, gives you money based on the number of stands that you have in your park. This card would give you money based on the number of blank faces that you roll. So if you happen to have this card in your hand and you rolled several blank faces on your turn, you might say, well, even though I don't get to use those as actions, I'll keep them because they're worth a lot of money. If you have this card and have the bonus die to play it. And then there's a card like this, which is a number of purple spaces in your park. So the number of rides with purple dots on them would count towards this card. I mentioned the visitor die already, but I'll go over it again. The game starts with one robot of each color in the bag: red, blue, green, black, purple, or pink. And they all start with one in the bag. Now, if you roll a couple of, let's say you roll 3 visitors, and you have maybe a bunch of blue open spaces on your park, you could pick up 3 blue visitors and put them in the bag before you draw the visitors out of the bag. So therefore, you're increasing your chances of drawing the visitors that you need to put on your rides, because your visitors need to match the color of your rides. And the last spot on the die is this, which allows you to throw away 2 dirt. If you have a toilet, it allows you to throw away 4 dirt because it counts as 2. At any time, you can use any of the dice rolled to any of the symbols to purchase one of these expansion tiles and add it on to your park. If you do that, you must add it on so that the whole entire side is touching like that. You cannot add it like this. You cannot add it at a corner. And you obviously wouldn't add it like this. It needs to be added in such a way that you can continue to expand your park. So let's look in a little bit more detail in the rides. If you build a ride like this lovely haunted house, it must sit squarely on 3 tiles. This is a 3-space ride, so it must sit on 3 spaces. It can't overhang unless you've got an expansion tile there. Now, if I build another ride of the same color, it must touch this ride because it's the same color, but it can only touch in one spot. For instance, like this or like this. It touches at one spot. It cannot touch like this, which is at a corner, and it cannot touch like this, which is 2 spaces. So the way you lay out your rides is very important. And you will run out of space fairly quickly, depending on the size of rides that you're building. Because not only that, but once I build another ride, let's say I built a blue ride, my blue ride cannot touch my purple ride. So it would have to go at least another space away, if not farther. It could go here because this is a corner, so they're not touching. But it couldn't go here because that would be touching this ride. The other thing to keep in mind is that when you build stands, they also cannot touch another ride or another stand that's of a different color. They can touch stands of the same color. So this toilet could not go up against this ride. It would have to go at least 1 space away. And if I built another stand, it would have to also go at least 1 space away from this and from the rides. So it's kind of a lot to think about. And as you can see, it wouldn't take too much for you to very quickly be able to run out of room if you're not planning ahead. Now, if you look down on the top of a ride, you can see that it has spots for robots to ride on it. This is a 3-spot ride, so it takes up 3 spaces on the map, and 3 robots can happily ride on it. if I pull them out of the bag. Unlike other games, which have a first player, second player, third player, and so on, that are defined before you start the game, each round of this game will have a different first, second, third, and fourth player, depending on how quickly you roll your dice. What happens is you take your dice, and it is highly recommended that you have your park off to the side so you don't accidentally hit it and knock your rides over. And you have your pig off to the other side, and you leave a space open for frantically rolling dice, because that's what you're going to be doing. You start rolling dice, and anytime you get one that you like, you save it by putting it on your pig die. You can then re-roll anything else that is left over. Like, oh, and a visitor, I'd want one of those. I'll take a stand. And okay, I'll take that last one. Now, I just finished my rolling. I don't know what's going on with everybody else, but I'm hoping to get the first player token. Because if I get the first player token, I get to throw away dirt at the beginning. The second player token gets to throw away some dirt, but not as much. The third player token gets to throw away no dirt, so it has no benefit, but it also has no penalty. The last player gets to take dirt, so they get a penalty. If I'm the first player to finish my die rolling, I'm going to reach out and grab the first player token. So you want to make sure before you start the game that everyone is within equal reach of all of the tiles. I mean, obviously you can't do it within equal reach of every exact tile. Some people are going to be farther away from the first person, but if they're worried about it, if you've got someone with if you're playing with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, you might have to shove the cards on to their side of the table. You just have to be understanding if you're playing with dinosaurs. So I would grab this first player token victoriously. Meanwhile, all of the other players are doing the same thing. They're rolling dice. They are trying to get the pieces and parts that they need. And you have to think ahead of time about the bonus cards that you have in your hand as well. Before you start rolling, and you want to check with everybody, and you're going to do a countdown before you start rolling. You're going to check with everyone and say, is everybody ready to start rolling? And you want to check your cards and see if any of your bonus cards are worth playing. Because if so, then you're going to be trying to get one of the little piles of dirt that lets you play a bonus card. And you also want to address, okay, I'm going to try to roll stands. I'm going to get stands this turn, and that's what I'm going to try and score. So you want to have that in the back of your mind too when you're rolling, in addition to dealing with building rides, getting visitors into your park, building stands, getting rid of dirt, and so forth. Plus the possible necessity of needing to add on to your park if you've filled it up with rides. So let's give everyone some stuff to do. So obviously this is not the way it works. I am just doing this as an example to show you how this type of thing is done. So let's say the third person finishes rolling. Once the third person finishes rolling, the last person left, in other words the slowpoke, which may be the Tyrannosaurus, it's hard for them to roll, will have 3 more rolls left. So let's say they have that on their board already. Let's say they've got 3 on their board. This guy finishes rolling and takes the third player token. There's only 1 player token left. He has 3 rolls left, and he has to accept the result of the rolls. So 1 roll. He's not a big fan of that, so he's going to do another one. Oh, that's good. That'll give him one of these. And he can either take this bonus card, or he can go ahead and do 1 more roll and then accept the result of that, which isn't bad. It gives him a stand and a person. So he actually ended up being okay. And then he would take the last player token, which has the Z's on it for slowpoke. So it's a bit of a frantic rolling session with all this dice rolling going on at the same time. Once you put them on your pig, don't touch them. No touch of the pig. until it's time to take your actions. Once the roll phase is over, and if you're not sure about the phases, there is like a cheat sheet card that comes with the game turn phases on it, an explanation of each of the dice, and the back explains what each of the stands does. So the next phase, you're going to receive dirt. Yay, dirt phase. You look at your dice, and for instance, my dice that are on the pig are going to give me 5 dirt because there's little dirt symbols on the dice. Here, I'll show you. See that? That's a dirt symbol there next to my stand. So the dice that I rolled gave me 5 dirt, so I would take 5 and I would start my dump. Probably next to my pig, because the pig would probably be happy with the dump. But my first player card lets me throw away 4 dirt. Hooray! So it ends up not being too bad. Now he has 1, 2, 3, 4 dirt, but he gets to throw away 2. So he only has to take 2 dirt. This guy has 3 dirt, and he has no benefit and no penalty, so he takes his 3 dirt. And this guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dirt, 6, 7 dirt, because he was the last player. So he has to take all that dirt. But it's early in the game. There's plenty of time to get rid of dirt later. So now you go around in turn order during the actions phase, and you place you use all of the dice on your board before it goes to the next player. And it's important what order you take your actions in. Obviously, I've got an empty park right now. If I were to use my visitor die right now, that would be pretty dumb, because there would be no place for me to put my visitor, and he would be very sad. So the first thing I want to do is build some rides. And I've got 4 of these, so I'm probably going to build a 3 ride and a 1. And I'm kind of a fan of the haunted house. I think the haunted house is cute. So I'm going to build here. And then I can build another section of the haunted house, or I could build a ride of a different color. I'm going to go ahead and go haunted house, I think. What the heck? I'm going to build haunted house. So this ride will touch it with 1 space. It has to touch it because it's the same color. And now I can build a stand. And I think I'm going to build a security stand, because what the security stand does is if I pull out a robot from the bag and it's not a color that I like, I can put it back in the bag and then pull out a different one if I have a security stand. So, and I want to think about where I place this, because I want to make sure I'm leaving room to build. And I'm just going to put this right here. So I've got a security stand now. And now my last action is going to be the people. And remember, we start with 1 of each color in the bag at the beginning of the game. I rolled 1 person, so I can choose. The haunted house takes black colored robots. So I'm going to pick up 1 black robot, put it in the bag. So not very good chances of pulling a black one out of here, but at least I increase the chances by putting another one in. And I pull out a purple one. So he looks at my park. He's very sad because there's no ride for him, and he goes back to his pile. So you're always going to end up at the end of each person's action with 6 robots left in the bag. Then it will move on to the second player, and that person will do the same thing. They will choose their actions and play them, and then the next person will go, and so on. Now let's say, for fun's sake, that I had drawn the black guy out of the bag. I could have then put him on my ride. And at the end of the turn, during the income phase, I would get 3 denarii, which is the money, because it's a European game. and I would get $3 or 3 denarii for having a visitor in my park. And I would keep those, I could flip those upside down. All of the denominations of money have the same color on the back, so you can flip them over so no one can see what you have. Because at the end of the game, it's whoever has the most money wins. After the income phase is done, then everything resets. You make sure your dice are off your pig board. You draw back up to 3 bonus cards in case you played any cards. You get to draw back up to 3, and then it moves on to the next round. So this happens in 6 rounds. It happens pretty fast, but there's not a ton of rides, so you're going to go through those pretty quickly. At the very end of the game, you have to pay fines based on how much dirt you have in your dump. If you have 30 or more dirt in your dump, you lose the game. Bad news. But some of these fines are pretty steep. If you have 20 dirt in your dump, then you would have to pay $45 as in restitutions to the town to clean up your dump. So you can take some pretty big hits if you don't manage your dump during the game. And you do that by hopefully sometimes getting the first or second player token, which is going to let you throw away dirt, or by rolling the symbol on the dice and choosing to keep it on your pig. That will let you get rid of dirt. Also, building toilets helps because it makes these count for 2. This game plays 2, 3, or 4 players. If you play with 2 players, they do recommend that instead of using the first player token and the last player token, that you use the second player token and the last player token. Just because there's such a huge difference between the first player and the last player. The first player gets to throw away 4 dirt, the last player has to take 2 dirt. So using the second player token isn't as big of a hindrance. Also, if you're playing with less than 4 people and you've got new people to the game that are less experienced, you can also take out the first player token just to make it a little bit more of an even playing field. But you're always supposed to play with the last player token, no matter how many people are playing the game. So if you have 3 people playing, you could play with the first player, the second player, and the last player. Or you could play second, third, and last player. But the last player token always needs to be included in the game. It's an adorable game. It's really cute. The artwork on the rides is just precious. It reminds me very much of Dixit, the style of artwork. And I love the idea of the robots coming to ride your ride and having to match the colors. And it really plays very simply. The box recommendation is for ages 10 and up. But I imagine kids even younger than that might be able to handle it, particularly if you do the simplified rules, which they call Theme Park for Dummies, in which you take out the abilities of the stands. You don't take out the stands themselves. You make them worth money at the end of the game. I believe they're worth $3 at the end of the game, instead of using their abilities. But for the most part, it shouldn't be a problem to just use the stands with their abilities. I wouldn't have a problem introducing the game as a new game and having the stands rules be included in that. It's not that complicated of a game. But that's Theme Park. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you enjoyed playing this new exciting game. And I will see you next time.